All right, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I'm Paul from the Larson Public Library. Tonight we have Shanti Urreta and Ken Goldfarb. And tonight they're going to talk to you about veganism. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take it away.
Want to thank you for being here. And thanks, Paul, for having us. Very much appreciate it. I'm Shanti Urreta. That's Ken Goldfarb. We are both graduates of the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, also known as IIN. We've been working together for a couple of years, educating people on healthy, organic eating and veganism. So notice I separated those two, and I'll explain what that's all about. At the end, we'll have a question and answer period. So if you have any questions, jot them down and hold them till the end. So there's a difference between veganism and plant-based. Veganism is a philosophy. It's living doing the least amount of harm to animals. So by your food choices, by the products you use, so no animal testing on the products that you use, by what you wear, so no leather, no wool, no down, no silk, and by the entertainment that you support. So a vegan doesn't generally go to a zoo, to a circus, to theme parks. To me, veganism is a kinder way of living. We support anything that doesn't have to do with animal, the confinement of animals. Plant-based is basically your food choices. So if you say you're vegan, people will ask you, well, why do you have leather shoes? So if you're just starting, it's a good idea to say I'm a plant-based eater. And then slowly, as you start to learn, you can transfer to veganism if that's your choice. So a plant-based eater is just by their food choices. You abstain from meat, you abstain from dairy, and you abstain from eggs. So you eat plants, and that may seem confining, like that's it, I'm gonna have salad for the rest of my life. There's so many choices in a plant-based diet. So you can eat legumes, beans, fruit, veggies, greens, grain, nuts, seeds, and avocado. And what we usually do is we combine them, and that's what we eat. Limited salt, limited oils, and healthy sugars. Very little bit. So the healthy way of eating is a whole food plant-based diet, excluding all meats, dairies, and eggs. And if you start to look up doctors who support a vegan lifestyle, you will see that that's what they say also. That's the way to be healthy. There are plenty of milk substitutes. There's almond milk, there's organic soy milk, there's oat milk, there's hemp, flax, and they most of them have cheeses that go with them with that. So there are plenty of cheeses if you're a cheeseaholic. There are 4 basic reasons to be vegan. The first, obviously, is the animals. Um, and if you start to investigate, you'll see that the animals are live a very tortured life, especially the dairy cows. Um, a couple of videos for you to watch are Cowspiracy and Seaspiracy. Cowspiracy has to do with the animals that we that we confine and torture, and um, it's an invitation to not live like that. It's a it's an awareness of what we eat and what we do, and choosing to live differently. Seaspiracy, I had a really hard time watching it, but I finally buckled down today and I said, okay, I have to watch Seaspiracy because you'll probably have the experience of, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch the torture of the animals, um, because it's a very hard thing to do. My feeling is if you choose to eat that way, then you need to bear witness to how you eat and how you live. Um, since being vegan, those words have been big in my vocabulary. Bear witness. Um, so animals, health. People usually start out as vegan for their health. I started out as a vegan for my health. Um, and basically, I was a plant based eater until I started learning and watching videos and video after video and book after book. And I finally realized that's not the way that I want to live. I don't want to support the cruelty that goes on. And we hear about um, grass fed and organically raised, and we think it's the better way to eat. In the end, an animal has to be killed, and me as a vegan chooses not to do that. There's the planet's reasons, planetary reasons. Uh, we only have one planet, and we all think this planet is so big. How can what I do make a difference? Start looking at videos. Uh, Cowspiracy and Seaspiracy are two ones that I highly, highly recommend, along with, I'll think about it in it, Earthlings. Earthlings was the first video that I watched, and they call it a vegan maker because once you watch Earthlings, there's no going back. Once you watch any of them, Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, Earthlings, once you watch any of them, it makes it gives you a better understanding of what's really going on, and it opens your eyes to a different way of living. And then finally, there's the spiritual connection. It's hard to just tell you what the spiritual connection is because I think you have to live it to understand it. But in many religions, we talk about being that we are one, that we are all one. And so if we subscribe to that way of thinking, we're all one. which means the animals are part of us also. I wrote a book called Dear World, See What I See, My Vegan Path. And I talk about all the reasons how I became a vegan and how it led me up to a spiritual path. And we'll talk about book later. 16 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. It's a blood cancer. And a doctor friend of mine told me, get off of meat, get off of dairy, go organic, and juice my veggies. And this was 16 years ago, mind you. It was very hard for me. First of all, I didn't know how to cook. And so it was a slow process of learning how to live that way. It's not like it is today where there's so much vegan food and you go into any restaurant and they can veganize anything for you. Fortunately, 5 weeks later, it was determined that it was a misdiagnosis. I didn't have multiple myeloma. But it started me on my path. I couldn't go back to living a meat-centered diet when everything that I read and everything that I heard said that the multiple myeloma was caused by that diet. So I could not go back to it. I couldn't go back to it after seeing all the videos and reading all the books that I had been. So I continued to learn. I didn't just say, okay, I don't have multiple myeloma. I can go back to my regular lifestyle. I was set on a path. I continued to learn. I watched videos, read books on animals. It took me months to watch Earthlings because I would see a little bit of it, cry for days, and get brave enough to watch it again. And that's where I heard that if you're going to live that lifestyle, you have to bear witness. And so I was bearing witness to our lifestyle. There are many, many books. There are many videos to learn about veganism. I highly recommend that you do that. So as a thank you for joining us today, I want to gift you my book. So Paul will provide you with my email address. Just let me know your name so I can sign it for you. And I will drop it off at the library at some point within the next week. I should get there. Yes. Basically, for me, veganism is bearing witness to the plight of the animals and how we confine and torture these poor animals. And that's why I'm vegan, because I've witnessed, I've seen what happens. So 16 years later, that's when I became a vegan. I'm healthy from any food-related illnesses. I'm not on any meds. Ken also is in his 60s. We're not on any medications, and it's a nice way of living. So Ken
Yes,
is going to be.
Shanti.
Ken is going to be talking to you about the health aspect of veganism. I hope that I've given you a good idea of the reasons why I'm vegan. Um, I started out for my health, definitely turned vegan for the animals. Okay, Ken, you talk about the microbiome and it's
Uh,
vital.
be- Before we go there, Shanti,
Uh-huh.
let me just explain a few things that you went over that might I want to clarify a few things. Okay.
Okay.
You're talking about how most people um, get into veganism for their health. They've heard that through various sources that eating a plant-based diet and maybe getting to veganism a little bit later is a better way to go, and how that relates to the world that we live in, right? Um, so what I'd like to tell you is, I don't know if people are aware out there that there's 1.6 billion cows on the face of the earth. 1.6 billion cows. And they account for 15% of global warming on the planet. Their carbon contribution to the atmosphere is enormous. And that's just cows. We raise a lot of other animals. We raise pigs and chickens and many, many other animals. And they're really hurting the water supply. They're polluting a lot of the larger bodies of water that we have because all the runoff from these farms. And they're causing a lot of issues for humans. And they don't, it's almost as if, we're living in a kind of a dream where people are not really aware of what's going on. And like Shanti mentioned, when you see some of these films like Cowspiracy and Seaspiracy, you realize, you get to see the ugly side of what's going on. And it is very, very powerful. So now we can talk a little bit about what veganism can do for your health.
I just wanted to mention when I saw Seaspiracy today, he mentioned that if we keep doing what we're doing, because a lot of people say, okay, I'll give up all my meat, but I'm going to continue to eat fish. Well, he talks about uh, giving up fish because it's not just the fish that you eat, it's all the animals in the ocean. And that if we continue to do what we're doing, by the year 2048 there will be no um, ocean life. And that means
There's
if
no human life.
there's no ocean life, there's no human life.
And that's scary in and of itself.
Yeah.
For sure. So now, if you like, we'll talk a little bit about what a vegan diet can do for you and your health.
Okay. Well, the first thing is you talk a lot about the microbiome and its vital role in your health and how a plant-based diet can keep it healthy. Now, microbiome has been big in the
Medical circles, for sure.
medical circles these days. So why is the microbiome important to your health, and why does a plant-based diet support its health?
Okay, first of all, let's define the microbiome. You have an external one that's on your skin, and you have an internal one, which is primarily based along your digestive tract. That's where about 70% of your immune system lives. But the microbiome consists of bacteria, fungi, viruses. And you might say to yourself, well, why are all those things important in my body? It's because we've only learned recently, and this is in the last 20 years, that these organisms that inhabit our body are actually in control of many, many of the functions inside of our body, making vitamins out of food, sending hormone and chemical messengers around the body. When your microbiome is not healthy, things begin to go awry very quickly. So a plant-based diet basically is going to give your body the fiber, the micronutrients, and all the vitamins and minerals that you cannot get from eating meat. These are the things that your body really depends on, so that there's a healthy balance within your inner garden, so to speak. And let's face it, we live in a world where we're pressed for time and we're eating convenience things. And if you're not eating real food, you're not feeding your body properly. And that's really what it comes down to.
And when you talk about real food, you're talking about a carrot, lettuce, a beet, as opposed to a box that says, here I have carrots for you. But it's been processed, it's been manipulated. That's not real food.
No, definitely not. And what's really remarkable is your body your body recognizes real food from phony food. And if you really are interested in feeding your body properly, you need to have a lot of vegetables and a lot of combinations of vegetables and fruit, and and other things too, nuts and grains and other things. But these are the things that feed these bacteria and keep them healthy. People don't realize, they think, well, if I just eat a little bit healthy, I'll be okay. The real truth is, as you age, you need to give your body more nutrition than when it was younger, because it takes more nutrition to keep your body functioning properly. I think you could see, if you've been eating a processed food diet, or you eat meat multiple times per week, you could see a huge difference in how you feel. And you're certainly going to put yourself on the road to where you're not going to have to worry about system-wide inflammation in your body, which is the next thing we'll talk about.
I was on Nexium and Prilosec for 10 years before I became vegan. And the doctors would tell me, it's something you're eating, it's something you're eating. But I really didn't understand. I cut the tea out. I tried this, I tried that. But I really didn't understand what they meant by it's what you're eating. And I don't think he really could tell me, Shanti, go vegan. He couldn't say that, unfortunately. But 3 weeks, and I'm sure it happened earlier, I just didn't know what was happening to my body. For 10 years, I was on Nexium Prilosec for acid reflux. I couldn't go to sleep unless I took that little pill at night. And in 3 weeks, I didn't have to have it at all. So your body changes pretty quickly. And I'm sure it happened to me earlier than 3 weeks. I just didn't know that was going to be one of the side effects, that I would not need my acid reflux medicine anymore. So you talked about inflammation. What is inflammation?
Inflammation is basically your body's response to something that is occurring, and your body is responding in a way that it can mitigate the damage that's happening in your body. The problem is, when you eat things that irritate you over and over and over again, your body is forced to produce bigger and bigger reactions. And if this goes on for too long, this is basically the start of autoimmunity. And almost everything you can think of, every disease that's number 1 through 15 on the list is diet related in some way, whether it's heart disease, whether it's cancer, whether it's rheumatoid arthritis. These are all inflammatory responses that have gone on far too long in the body. And the sad part is it could have been corrected with diet. And most people, they go to their allopathic physician, which is your regular doctor, and he has a choice. He wants to make you comfortable, but it's already too late to fix that condition. So you're on meds, and you have to live with that for the rest of your life. But what Shanti and I are trying to say here is, if you modify your diet and you feed your body properly, it can fix itself. You just have to be able to do this before the degree of disease gets too far. Shanti and I have seen people who've had coronary blockages change their diet and become vegans, and without any meds at all, their arteries and veins return to their normal state. So
I had
these are. Go
I
ahead.
had worked with a man who had markers of cancer that were elevated, and he changed to a plant-based diet, and in a couple of months he went back to the doctor, and his cancer markers were negligible, and the doctor wanted to know what he was doing, and he told him he changed his diet, and the doctor told him, well, I doubt that's it, but you keep doing what you're doing. So things change, your body changes, your body wants to be healthy. And so if you give it the proper nutrition, it's going to do what it's meant to do.
Absolutely.
Um, People say, but it's too expensive to eat this way. We usually answer, well, isn't healthcare pretty expensive also?
Mm.
Um, and
I mean,
and
animal protein is very expensive.
yeah.
I mean, it's to me it's a trade-off. You can get fresh seasonable vegetables, and once you learn how to cook for yourself, it's really not an issue.
Um, 16 years later, and even way before that, I don't miss any animal product. I don't miss the milk. I don't miss the eggs, because I've learned how to cook, um, and I feed myself well. I also eat organic, which can tend to be a little more pricier, but um, many vegan doctors will say, if you can't afford to eat organic, it's more important to just eat the veggies. Um, so I choose to eat organic because why do you choose to eat organic, Ken?
Because I don't want to be exposed to all the chemicals that are on conventional food. Our agricultural system has changed so drastically in the last 60 years. We're also, not only is the ocean in trouble, but our soils are in trouble as well. We've been bombarding them with chemicals. One particular chemical, glyphosate, which is a product of Bayer Monsanto, is a natural antibiotic, which means it kills all the organisms in the soil just so the weeds won't grow. But it also has a very terrible effect on the soil. And I've heard some people say, we're only about 40 or 50 years away from breaking our soils to the point where they will not be able to sustain agriculture the way we do it today. So I eat organic because I want to put less man-made chemicals in my body. And there are 80,000 plus registered chemicals currently being used in agriculture today. That's an enormous number.
And I find that organic food tastes better. Um, even to the bananas that we eat. My husband is a banana specialist, and he will he said, all right, let's try organic versus non-organic bananas because they have a nice skin. And why do we need to eat organic? We can taste the difference of organic versus non-organic bananas. I've eaten non-organic veggies when I've gone to people's houses. It's horrible. And I say, no wonder people don't like their veggies. If it tastes like that, no wonder. Um,
Mm.
so so eating organic, you get to taste the food, and it tastes really good. Um, and so if you're a I don't like veggie type of person, try the organic and
Mm.
try it different ways.
You know, I'd love to mention one other thing. I was listening to someone talk, I forget the name of the speaker, and he was quoting a study from the American Heart Association that was done in April of 1961, I believe, which is a long, long time ago. And the study came out with a conclusion. Now, remember, this is the American Heart Association, and they said that following a vegetarian diet would 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 totally decrease in a very big way the disease progression of all Americans. Now, I just wonder, in all the years since, why they didn't follow that path of when they already knew years and years and years ago that a vegetarian or vegan diet would greatly reduce disease. Why that didn't become in the mainstream? And that's because about that time, our economy took off in a very big way, and manufacturing and things being changed. And sadly, today, human health is very low on the list of priorities. It's making money. And that's the real horror show here is, we're sacrificing our planet and our health as human beings for the sake of money. And, eventually something's got to give. Right, Shanti?
Yes, yes. You say the soil has 40 years if we continue to do what we do.
Right.
And the ocean has 40 years too. So we've all got to get on it. We all have, even if you just do it for you, the people around you will see what you're doing, and you'll see the difference in your body changes, and the people around you will start to see the changes in your body.
Mm.
And this is how we spread veganism, just by being an example,
Absolutely.
for the
I have
people
way more
around you.
energy. I have way more energy now than I did when I was in my late 30s and early 40s. And it's really quite remarkable, I look forward to aging with grace and dignity and living a full life, and I was on a path many years ago that was not good. Like Shanti, I had a lot of health issues. And thank goodness, I came to my senses.
My husband was overweight. He was 240 pounds. He stays at 170 now. And that's just, he didn't try anything. He didn't try to say, okay, I'm going to lose weight. It was just a natural progression of what happened. First of all, he gave up the soda. And that was an immediate weight loss, giving up soda. And then as the years have gone on, he stays at 170, 175 just because of what he's eating.
Yeah, I mean, that's a definite benefit. When you get on this path, you don't really have to worry about weight gain. Your body does change drastically, and even your mood. changes drastically. It's pretty hard to believe. I used to have some mood swings way back when I was working 80 hours a week or 90 hours a week. And when I changed the way I was eating, I just found every day was a joy. It was a pleasure. I get up now and I'm grateful for every day. I'm looking forward to the day.
Foods that heal and foods that harm. What kind of foods heal you?
Um, any vitamin, any micronutrient and vitamin dense food, something that has a good amount of minerals in it. So let's just pick a food, for example. Let's pick kale or watercress, which are pretty much apex vegetables in terms of nutrition. When you eat a cup of cooked kale, you're getting vitamin A, vitamin C, you're getting magnesium, you're getting a bunch of minerals, you're getting a good dose of chlorophyll. I mean, these are power foods. These are foods that have the potential to change your body in a very large way and protect you from things like cancer and heart disease.
So greens are one of the most important things.
Absolutely. But there are other power foods too. I mean, sweet potatoes and a lot, even romaine lettuce. Organic romaine lettuce has a lot of nutrition in it, and it's the fiber too, Shanti. It's like people, and the standard American diet is so low in fiber that people suffer from colitis and these lower gastrointestinal diseases because their body doesn't really know how to work correctly anymore. When you start to eat real food again, your body wakes up. It's really an amazing, amazing thing.
So one good way to remember is if it's a plant food, it has I've lost my. It doesn't have any fiber. I'm sorry, it has fiber.
Right.
If it's an animal product, it has no fiber.
No fiber.
None.
So what does that mean when we say it has no fiber? That means when you eat some animal protein, because it doesn't have any fiber, it doesn't really get digested very quickly. It could be in your body for several days before it exits. And that can cause a lot of problems. So you need fiber to keep your colon undulating correctly. So you can, you're regular and you're feeling good because, your body is getting all the nutrition it needs. What else doesn't plant food have that animal food has? Cholesterol.
Cholesterol. So zero cholesterol in any plant food. Animal products, cholesterol.
A lot of cholesterol. So not only does your body have to deal with the cholesterol and the lack of fiber, but it's a huge strain because when you digest animal protein, the end product is nitrogen, and that puts an enormous strain on your kidneys and your liver. So, it's when you eat a lot of vegetables and a lot of fiber, your body's able to have a steady supply of energy, and it doesn't need to work so hard to get that energy.
People generally say to me, "But what about my protein? How do I get my protein if I'm not eating meat?"
Well, the bottom line is, almost everything in the plant kingdom has some degree of protein. Some plant foods have a lot more than others. Shanti and I both eat a lot of, we eat tempeh and we eat mushrooms and we eat beans and things that have a pretty high protein content.
Lentils have a lot of protein.
Yeah, I mean, and even nuts have a lot of protein, per cup. And also nuts have healthy fats. I don't want you to get the idea that Shanti and I don't eat any fat. We eat plenty of fat. It's just the type of fat that we eat. It's coming from nuts and avocados and things like that.
foods that harm you?
Okay, the first thing I can think of, I immediately think of processed foods, because processed foods, generally speaking, are very low in fiber and are full of chemicals which your body has no use for. In fact, it puts a big strain on your liver again, your liver being the focal point of your detoxification in your body. Um, those sorts of things, you know, high sugar things that are going to affect your blood sugar levels. These are things that can really, really, really damage your health. Very important to keep your blood sugar very steady. If it spikes too high, you know, you're putting a lot of strain on your pancreas. And I know that right now, you know, people are aware that pancreatic cancer is definitely a problem.
When I think of food that harms you, is I think about dairy.
Dairy. Dairy is especially harmful because it promotes the growth of cancer cells very quickly, even faster than meat does. And also, you have to remember that the dairy we consume in this country has been cooked, and the proteins in that dairy have been altered and changed. And besides the fact that dairy was not really meant for human consumption, dairy is meant for baby cow consumption.
Yes, it's baby cow food. It's not animal food. It's not people food. Um, and so why is meat bad for you?
You know, it just puts meat in general just puts an enormous strain on your body in terms of digestion. You know, as we age, our stomach acid decreases over time, and animal food takes a lot of very, very potent stomach acid to digest, and it's a very slow process, and almost every organ system is affected. I mean, it's going to put more fat in your blood, which means, you know, it's going to put a little more strain on your heart. um, if there's anything that animal was fed that is genetically modified, that's going to put another level of stress on your body, because your body's not going to recognize that at all. Um, and for most people who eat a lot of meat, they have deposits in their veins, and their cholesterol can be an issue for sure.
So when you eat a cow, you're just not eating a cow. You're eating everything that cow ate.
Absolutely.
And so, did he eat
Genetically
toxic?
modified corn.
Right.
Did he eat antibiotics to stay healthy? Because most of the cows consumed in this country live in enormous feedlots and live on top of each other in each other's feces, and they need to give them steroids and antibiotics to keep them healthy. So those things make their way into the animal flesh, and you wind up eating them.
Chickens, before they're sold, they're given saline so that they weigh more when they're sold. And when you read the label for chicken, it'll say chicken, but they don't tell you all the salt that they've put into that chicken.
Or do they tell you about the chlorine bath they had to give the chicken because there's so much salmonella living on the skin? So yeah, there's a lot of harmful things that are not on the label, for sure.
So basically, a whole food plant-based diet.
Yes.
Is the healthier way to go.
You know, for a lot of people, Shanti, it's kind of earth shaking to think about not eating animals. You know, especially if you've grown up and you've eaten animals your whole life. I can say that, you know, we are no different than the people who lived 15,000 years ago, and they ate animals to stay alive. I don't think they had enough plant food necessarily to sustain them. But, things are different now. Things are, you can just go to your local supermarket and buy whatever you want. So, we've changed the game in terms of how human beings feed themselves. So we've kind of lost touch with what it really takes to keep a human healthy.
Okay. Shall we open to questions?